Talk about the changing of the seasons and the seasons of my life. Okay, so yes, me, Sadaka. 2 years. 2 years in the mountains. Everything changes. Of course, everything changes for me in the way that they change for me because I'm Sadaka. Not everybody who moves to the mountains goes through all these transitions. I was like 50 pounds heavier. Oh my god. And it didn't come from any type of privation other than I'm not gonna waste a bunch of food and I'm not going out all the time. I had no idea how many body issues I had. I still do, and it's almost like they're in there forever in some ways. I'll always be a fat kid, in my own soul, like my own spirit. Like I always feel like that's just how I am. And knowing that, all of a sudden I realized that I had all these different things to wake up to or from after moving to the mountains. I talked about it a little bit. Some of my journalistic videos videos that are basically journals. It's like this one, I have no other purpose than to talk about the experiences that I've been going through in a personal way, as opposed to necessarily all of the spirit stuff, which can be pretty mind-numbing. But I'll try to get there too. And I don't want to just sit here and talk forever, but honestly, I've had so many things, personality-wise, and hang-ups wise, and paranoia. What? Yeah, paranoia came up, and my cabin gets dark, and I'm in a dark forest. I mean, of course your mind does things, and all of a sudden I'm like really scared, and now, I'll go to bed and I'll be like, oh my god, I'm afraid of the dark, stop it. And for the most part, it might take me a couple minutes to just like lie around and let my mind go blank and stop thinking about stupid, scary things, because it's all up here, But I'm much better at it. I used to lie awake at night before I moved up here, like worried about like robbers with guns, and all of a sudden I'm like, where does that stuff come from? It's very North American news media paranoia type stuff, and I have to work amongst the news media, so I get an earful every single day. And then basically I'm just assuming that there's like robbers with guns and knives outside my door just like waiting for an opportunity. And that kind of stuff really messes you up. Just even going outside and doing Qigong outside was a big deal for me, and still is in some ways. There's something there. Skin, like I had to figure out what the hell was going on with my face, and it happened to be dietary and dermatological, as in I wasn't taking care of my skin properly. When you move up to 9,500 feet above sea level, it's basically the driest place in the world. Like, I don't care what they say about the Sahara, it's pretty freaking dry. Ha! He escaped. Anyway. It sucks all the moisture right out of you. People don't understand. So I had to learn that I was not doing things properly, and it's another huge distraction, and it's another huge thing. Waste. I was wasting so much food and making big pot meals for myself, big old things, and you've got a big old pot of chili or soup, and then you don't want it for like another 3 days, and it just sits there, and you're like, oh crap. Oh crap. And then you make something else because you're bored with this other meal, and then you've got 2 things that you're worried about, and you're like, oh crap. Oh god. And I have a fridge that's about this big, so that's the only thing I have in my cabin. I'm not storing large amounts of food. I don't want to store large amounts of food, except when it comes to stuff that's dry, staples, grains, etc. I had to learn how much I was wasting and how much I was throwing down the garbage disposal and not thinking about it. I don't have a garbage disposal out here. I don't have municipal trash pickup, so I have to take all of my trash and all of my recycling that has been sorted to a place. That was fun because I spent like an entire winter season once, maybe twice, can't remember, just collecting trash. Like, no, 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 it's fine. Seriously, it's a frozen tundra out there. It's not gonna make bugs. It's snowing. My truck is on a block of ice. I can't take it anywhere, so I just stored all of my trash for like a couple months into a shed. And by that time, I was doing so well not having that much waste that there was only maybe like, 3 or 4 bags or something like that. It's a really crazy lifestyle change when you are forced to do things differently, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, I don't need that. I don't need to pay for that, and I don't need to worry about that. Also, in other respects, when it comes to other things in my life, I don't need to drive for that. You know. Oh man, I had to get a lot of food delivered, and still do, just because it's the modern world, and I'm cool with that. I'm not going to single-handedly stop Amazon and all these companies from, wasting things. But then I would take my Amazon boxes and use them for kindling, so everything has its place. Then there are other things that really smack you in the face and you're like, holy crap, Like when I first came up here, I thought I was going to be little Monkman Sadaka with one bowl and a spoon, and I was just going to buy like 3 different sarongs or something and just live completely naturally and just be crazy hippie monk man. And it doesn't turn out that way, because you need different types of clothing for different weather conditions and your mood. And I've been so enjoying this summer, and it's so sunny, and I've been getting a little bit of a tan for once, and yay. And and all of that. Now all of a sudden, poof, middle of September, the chill is here, and the winds are back, and it's going to be, they're calling it a possible polar coaster. I'm not looking forward to it. That we're going to have a really crazily intense winter this winter, and it's going to last for a long time. It's so funny because I love the winter, and I love the snow, and I love being up here, and every time it does it, I just go, like everything feels so much calmer and relaxed and still. I know I'm gonna appreciate it, but any seasonal, anything that you have to get through when it comes to like weather conditions that are a little bit harsh is like, like humans are babies. Like we're really babies. Me especially. I'm like anything above 74 degrees. I'm like, ew, it's too hot. And anything below that, I'm like, oh god, it's cold. But I do prefer the colder temperatures. Huge shifts, so I had to figure out what I was going to wear clothing-wise. And then all of a sudden I realized different things. Like you think that you're doing something better, like just buying a bunch of the same t-shirt, and I don't have a washing machine or dryer, so I'm hanging things up outside. I'm a natural person, yeah. And then all of a sudden I realized that all of my clothes are disintegrating like twice as fast because I'm using more, it's natural and free and clear or whatever, but I'm using too much detergent, so I had to stop on that because I've just got a little wash bucket, and the clothes are like getting really faded and gross really quickly. So then I cut down on that. Nope, same thing is happening. All my clothes are wearing out like twice as fast as they would have if I had a washing machine. So now you have to do these little juggling acts and figure out, okay, well, maybe I can put a little bit of sacrifice towards conserving water. I'll get one of those high efficiency machines, man. Oh god! But then you're also using electricity. It's like, I've been watching The Good Place lately, and it's like, they finally come to the conclusion that nobody can ever make it into heaven because it's just too damn hard. Like, you buy an organic tomato, but it turns out that the water they used was, coming from some other place, and it's like all these things. Too much of a carbon footprint, man. You're not getting into heaven, And I totally feel that because I've had to learn. I'm like, I'm going to do this. It's going to be better for the environment and better for myself, and da-da-da-da, and then something else comes up. So it's almost like, who gives a crap? I'm not just throwing all caution to the wind. Believe me, it's just that in a way, you start to realize, well, holy crap, maybe I should stop worrying about that stuff so much. Try to do the best I can, and always keep an eye on, do I really need this? Do I really need to be doing this? Do I really have to have this much plastic waste? Maybe I can make this at home. Which is pretty much everything that I was doing when I first came up here anyway. I was making all of my food at home. That's probably the last one I'll talk about because I don't want this video to be too long. But I went vegan, you know, and it was super easy. And I'm eating meat again just because of social reasons. Like, that's exactly what happened. I was in my cabin, and it was winter, and it was this long. It was a long winter last winter too, and it just stayed for too long. It just didn't become spring for a really long time. And I was cooking all of my meals at home, and I didn't have to worry about anything. So I'm making all these lentil dishes and rice dishes and quinoa and garbanzo beans and all these wonderful vegetables and things going into curries and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm totally vegan, who cares? Totally easy, yeah, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I got a social life again because I started to thaw out up here, and then people started to visit. I got a friend, we started going out about once a week to a Thai place, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, chicken? And after that, but really it's more because you're going out with friends, there's like nothing you can eat. Even my two best vegan friends, they got a thing at the same restaurant the other day, and they're like, oh crap, I think this dressing has mayonnaise in it. You know, it was like, what are you gonna do? I mean, we're just trying to be out and have a good time. Now you're gonna like say, you know, send everything back, or you know, make it awkward or whatever, or not be able to eat anything. Like, once we went to a regular American breakfast type diner, and all they could find was toast with no butter on it that they could eat. I was like, guys, that's not veganing, you know, like, please don't torture yourselves. So yeah, I started eating meat again. At this point, I'm completely freaking done with it. You know, I'm just like, oh my god, I want to go back to the cleansing style. I think I'll always be one of those people who's just listening to my body all the time. If I want to eat meat, I'm going to eat meat. If I'm getting like, oh god, meat, what's wrong with you? Then I'm going to follow that. It doesn't mean that I'm a flip-flopper. Ooh, I can't commit to something. I really hate that about like veganism and all of these different diets and different lifestyle choices and changes and stuff. And people make them completely exclusive. So it's like, I can't be a vegan if I once ate some oyster sauce in 1998. You know, it's like, okay guys, shut up. If I choose to make my entire life based on plants, my entire diet based on plants, as a general rule, that's freaking awesome. Don't go and say I'm not good enough or you can't call yourself this just because I ate some fish this year or something like that. You know what I mean? I really honestly don't have any preachy vegan friends, but I have, and I've certainly had to deal with them, especially on like the gay apps. You know, like this one guy messages me, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? He's like, are you vegan? I'm like, okay, done. I don't need that kind of bullshit. But I'm actually a little upset at myself for letting myself just go down the non-vegan train again all of a sudden. But really, like, this is what the past 2 years have been about. I'm trying all these different things, and I'm seeing, in a weird way, like, I'm trying things in a, no, this is my cabin, get out kind of way. I'm doing things my way. And I'm figuring out, mostly through trial and error, what works and doesn't work for me. And, yeah, you know, it's been amazing. I don't know if I'll ever be able to go anywhere else. You know, I mean, anywhere else is almost fine. I would like to say somewhere in this forest, which I have now bonded to, but not necessarily the same area. It took me a while to realize that, you know, but it is a rural area, and sometimes all people like to do out here is drink, you know. So I don't know if I need to be in that lifestyle. But the other thing, and, you know, me when I'm around booze, it's like, okay, throwing all caution to the wind. I don't know that I can not be around and in nature again, is what I should say. I go down the mountain to the cities and I immediately want to go back. I can't stand the smell of all of these cars and buildings belching out crap. it smells awful. Like, I don't know, like even Denver is a pretty smoggy city, and it's just because it's in a plain, and then the stuff comes down from the mountains, and then it just sucks into the plain, and nothing can move around, so the winds are coming from different. Ugh, it's just not good. Um, and I feel icky, I feel like fish out of water. Really do feel like or a tree that got planted in the middle of a city. What am I doing here? Help! So I don't know if I'll be able to go back, I don't think so. I mean, I can do anything. I'm a resilient person. I'll go live in an apartment in the middle of the city and just cloister myself up there and go to my pho place once a week. I don't know. But I don't want to. I bought a yurt. So come live in it. I have a pretty big property. This is the other thing that I was always thinking. I'm like, I'm gonna move to the mountains, and it's just gonna be natural and amazing. I'm gonna like grow my own vegetables, and then I go, oh God, it's a bit cold. It's a bit cold. Maybe I should grow them inside, or maybe I should just buy them from the organic co-op. So different things like that have happened to me over the past couple of years. I have conceptions of what was going to happen, as in I'm going to move up here and I'm going to start this community and it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to have hippies hanging out on the rocks everywhere and swinging from the trees. It'll be beautiful. It's not like that. And I've had a couple of people stay with me and stuff, and it's been interesting or whatever, but then mostly it's like, okay, go away now. I'm being a a Taoist hermit. Hermist, yeah, I'll call it that now. I'm a hermist. Hermaoist. Yes. No, sounds like Mao. Don't like that. I'm trying to be a Taoist hermit, or sage, or whatever you want to call it, and just do my practices and have my simple meals and stuff. I have found irrefutably that I don't know. I think in so many, I guess I've always known that I'm a hedonist, sure, but I don't really know that there's a way to there's a word to describe it, but there's a way to describe it, in that, like, when I decide to do super simple meals and like follow a regimen that I'm going to do a cleanse and really ramp up my practice and just try to get to another place, maybe lose a little bit of fat or something like that in the process. I'm combining all these things together. I've been eating meat too much. I'm just going to do like simple soups and cereal or porridge or something like that for a while. And the first thing that happens, and people who fast will tell you the same thing, the first thing that happens is you'll start to get hungry, and then your brain will go, cravings! Cravings! What do we crave? What do we crave? We crave this, and you want to eat everything, and then all of a sudden you realize, like, I am absolutely driven by not just the craving, but, yeah, I guess just everything we do in life is based on craving pleasure satisfaction, So I get a craving, and then I go out and I have a piece of pizza. I had the satisfaction of, that was tasty. And it seems simple enough. But then when you cut everything back, you start craving everything, and you realize none of this is good. None of this is actually me. None of this is actually my body saying you really need this right now. Oh, you should go eat that cheese pizza. No, that's not what's going on. It is your brain and your cravings and your habits that you've made into your mouth. And they're just there. And you want these things so bad. And when you're fasting, you're like, oh my God, this stuff is ruling me. It is ruling my life. Literally, all these dumb human instincts and things that we have to take care of are ruling you all the time. That's why all of the great sages do or went towards asceticism as a solution. Because as soon as you have that, you want more. As soon as you have enough satisfaction, you want more. It just keeps changing. It just keeps growing. It just keeps moving, and your energy all over the place. If you can do that steadiness and just do the simplicity, it's boring. And since I'm such a sensationalist, I get bored really quickly. And I'm like, well, I don't want to not have my day taken up by cooking something really awesome. I don't want to not have my day taken up by going down to the grocery store and finding some, interesting foods or vegetables or something to cook something interesting with. I don't want my day to not be taken up by, talking to friends a little bit over here. And yet, when you're doing your spiritual discipline and you realize that all of those things are absolutely a distraction, or all of those things are absolutely sucking up your energy over here and over there and scattering your brain, and that when you do get into the solid mode and you embrace the boring, not my phrase, I wish it were. That was Donald Mitchell talking about that, and I kind of ran with it. I'm like, oh, god damn, he's right. I need to embrace the boring. So hard. When you do embrace the boring, then you reach a certain level of equilibrium and equanimity, and you're like, I don't want the spicy pepperoni anymore. It's just gonna make me go, and then you're all over the place all of a sudden. Just little things, and it starts to become very clear to you why you can never get spiritual seekers to smoke pot with you, or why the yogis, oh no, thank you, oh no, they never accept anything. It drives me insane. We're not talking about the middle world in which it's joy and wine and life, which is pretty much where I am all the time. I'm talking about the thing beyond that, which is knowing that we could, if we were all spiritual freaks, just put it that way, we could all hang out and do nothing except vibe awesome. It just doesn't seem like that's very likely, So, I'm trying to bridge these worlds eventually. Anyway, so I'm just talking about, my life up in the mountains. Oh man, what else have I discovered? I don't know. It's been crazy. I just don't know if I'm going to go anywhere else. Okay, so this is how I'll end it. I did buy a yurt, or actually it's a 16-foot all-weather tent. And it's a 6-person, so there's lots of stuff in there. And it has vent holes, so you can have a fire in it. A wood-burning stove and or a fire pit. So, what I've always wanted to do, of course, is have people come and stay and do like little retreats. Basically, you would be staying in nature, and it's almost about to be winter, so it's going to be implausible, but I'm just working up for, this stuff in the future, just to mention it, put a bug in your ear, that people will come and stay for little retreats, and basically I will take you on hikes and cook amazing food for you and teach you Qigong, or teach you Yigong, if you want to learn spontaneous practice. And we'll probably also have a couple, interesting like group ceremonies and that kind of thing, and just make it awesome. But it doesn't have to be anything, It also can just be come out and hang out in nature, and I have a place for you to stay now, as opposed to staying in close quarters in my cabin. I cannot believe that I ever even considered having anyone come and live with me. I had like 2 spirit brothers, no, just one, yeah, who I was going to let come and stay with me until he could find his own place out here, which honestly shouldn't be too hard. There's always some place to stay, and there's always a job to have out here if you're willing to just make minimum, and just hang out and all that. And it didn't work out because my spirit started to rebel automatically, and I realized without realizing, or realized without understanding, that it was going to be a volatile situation, not just because of us or our personalities, but because this cabin is small and I needs my space. So it took me, this is one of the other things that happened, is when I first moved here, I was literally in a space this big. I don't know why or how. Part of it was me not being able to adequately arrange things in my home so that they actually made sense and there was a flow, like feng shui. And part of it was me. Like I told you about going outside and not being able to do Qigong outside because of like weird bodily hang-ups and, oh, are the neighbors seeing and do they think I'm crazy? Do they think I'm weird? Ooh. All this stupid stuff that's going on in your head. I wasn't able to do that. Well, I wasn't able to spread out in my cabin when I first moved here. I really felt like it was this big and I was going to get eaten alive by spiders. And then over the last 2 years, it's just been like it's just spread out. And all of a sudden, it's like, where did all this space come from? I'm still throwing stuff away too. It's fantastic. Like, not that I'm still doing it, but I'm throwing it away. It's like every couple months I'll do a purge, and I'm like, where did all this crap come from? You know? And it's like, oh, it's always been here. I just didn't know how to throw it away before. Love it. And now it has nothing to do with that because nobody's staying in my space. And you go out there and you would have a living space and protection from the elements and fire. And yeah, that would be cool. So, and it's just the beginning, of course, but I'm trying not to make it a thing because before it was like, we're gonna do this, and then it all falls apart. So try not to put on too many expectations, you know. It's just like, come stay with Sadaka, stay out in the forest in a really nice tent, and you know, we'll go on hikes and shit. Love you.